Someone is late to rehearsal. What do you know? You know that we're late. What you don't know yet is why. Early on in leadership, I skipped the why. If you were late, I decided you did not care. The reason did not matter. Being late meant you didn't care. Unprepared meant uncommitted. And if you kept doing it, I stopped seeing you as a person I'm supposed to lead and started seeing you as a problem I had to manage. I want to show you how I learned to lead the person and still address the pattern, because accountability and compassion are not opposites. Hi, my name is Jorge, and I help worship leaders care for people, build healthy teams, and lead ministries that last. And I know how easy it is to make that judgment about someone because I used to make it all the time. Our rehearsals used to start about 6 or 7, and most of us were close friends, so rehearsals could be fun. We talked and we laughed, and sometimes we talked and laughed more than we rehearsed. But that friendship also made leadership messy. People arrived late constantly, and calling out your friends is much more difficult than calling out a name on a schedule. I usually didn't respond by yelling. I was more subtle than that, which is not the compliment that it sounds like. I became passive aggressive. I could use a joke to make someone feel guilty, smile while doing it, and then tell myself I was never being rude. If someone fell out of my good graces, I started treating them differently, all because I was annoyed and I did not want to deal with them. There was one particular person that was late week after week. We had conversations about it, but after a while, I just gave up. I stopped trying to understand or lead the person, and my attitude towards them changed. I may have stopped having the conversation directly, but I kept having the conversation in my head, and the conversation in my head always made me right. I also remember calling a team meeting before rehearsal and coming prepared with an excessive amount of Bible verses on the topic of excellence. I had basically assembled a closing argument for preparation and punctuality. To me, doing everything with excellence meant you were always on time, you were always prepared, and you were always doing your best, whatever that meant in my head at that time. As I spoke, I can see people rolling their eyes. I could see people getting frustrated in their seats, and that made me frustrated. I was convinced that what I was saying was true, so I assumed their reaction was just them not taking excellence seriously. It did not occur to me that a true principle could be delivered with an unhealthy posture. I thought I was protecting the standard, but I was treating people as though their value to the ministry rose and fell with what they produced. 2 very close friends of mine eventually asked me to take a walk with them around our church. I honestly don't remember their exact words because this was a very long time ago, but I do remember the heart of what they told me. They said I had made being part of the worship team feel tedious. I called out every mistake and every flaw. I was famous for calling team meetings where everyone knew they were about to get a general lecture, or honestly, a general scolding for tardiness, lack of preparation, or whatever had frustrated me that week. My friends were kind. They were graceful, but they were also firm and direct. And surprisingly, I reacted okay. I knew who they were, and I trusted their character. They were not saying this to embarrass me or to win an argument, so instead of dismissing them, I had to ask myself a painful question. What if they were right? That question started a lot of soul searching. I had thought of myself as talented, smart, disciplined, and generally more committed than everyone else. I thought being a good leader was getting production out of my team. Now, I had asked a different question. What is a good leader actually supposed to produce? I wish I could tell you that I apologized to everyone the next day and I became a new leader by the next rehearsal. That is not what happened. The change was slower and less cinematic than that. I started looking for answers. I read books. I watched teaching from people like John Maxwell and Simon Sinek. I started learning about humility, love, trust, and the responsibility to treat people well. And little by little, the way I saw leadership And frankly, the way I saw myself started to change. But learning a new value doesn't immediately mean you know how to practice it. For a season, I went from being too rigid to being too permissive. I told myself, life is hard, so I allowed people to arrive tardy. I said, life is hard, so I allowed people to come unprepared. I wanted to become friendly and gracious, so I became too lenient. And the team was happy. But we became mediocre. And the people who were prepared, who were on time, who were pulling their weight, started to become frustrated because I was allowing other team members' bad habits to cost the team. So one version of me corrected people without trying to understand them. The other tried to understand everyone without ever clarifying anything. Neither one was healthy leadership. Grace does not erase responsibility. It changes how responsibility is practiced. Here is the distinction I had been missing. A behavior gives you information. It does not, however, give you a verdict about a person's heart. If someone arrives 20 minutes late, the fact is, they arrived 20 minutes late. They do not care about the team is a story I attached to that situation. It may eventually become clear that the person is very irresponsible, but it could also be exhaustion, a sick child, pressure at work, transportation trouble, confusion about the start time, or an expectation that I never communicated as clearly as I thought I did. Curiosity does not mean pretending every explanation is acceptable. It means I refuse to punish someone for a motive I have not established yet. Better questions lead to better leadership. Healthy leaders seek understanding before solutions. And this is where I had to learn something uncomfortable. Asking a better question is only the first half of a healthy leadership. Once I understand, I still have to lead. Years later, our team agreed to do a daily devotional using the Bible app. This was not about measuring someone's salvation by a streak on an app. If someone missed a day or fell behind, that was not a problem. I simply wanted to see some effort towards something that we had agreed to as a team. One person, however, did not participate at all. So I sat with them and tried having a loving conversation. I asked why they were not participating. Their answer was, I don't know. I will be honest. I don't know is not a particularly satisfying answer when you have prepared yourself for a meaningful leadership conversation. There is just not a lot to work with there. But instead of forcing a better answer, I just tried to understand the person better. I knew they were naturally passive and nonchalant, and I realized I was trying to get a result from a relationship I had not invested deeply in yet. Before I could shepherd the behavior, I needed to shepherd the person. So I shifted my attention from that one task to their life in its entirety. I became their friend. I invested in the relationship. I tried to help and guide them without making their value dependent on that one particular task. Over time, I watched their general attitude change. That does not mean friendship is a trick to getting compliance. It means leadership has somewhere to land when the person feels valued. The relationship did not make responsibility disappear. It simply made the conversation honest, human, and useful. So let's put this all into practice. What does healthy accountability actually look like when someone has been repeatedly late? I use 6 movements. Notice, ask, listen, clarify, agree, and follow through. First, notice the facts. I might say, I noticed you've arrived 20 minutes late to the last 3 rehearsals. I'm not saying the word always or never. No diagnosis of their character. Second, ask before assuming. I do not want to assume I know why. Can you help me understand what has been happening? And then comes the difficult part for most leaders. Just stop talking and listen. Listen for context. Listen for ownership. Listen for confusion or a capacity problem. And most importantly, do not spend their answer trying to think of your rebuttal. Fourth, clarify the expectation and whom it serves. I could say something like, being ready at our agreed time matters because it affects our entire team, and we depend on one another. Repeated late arrivals reduces the time that we have to spend together as a team preparing. Fifth, agree on what happens next. What needs to change for this commitment to become realistic? What support would help? Let us agree on what will happen before the next rehearsal. And sixth, follow through. I could say something like, we agreed that you would arrive by 6, or you would contact me earlier if something changed. Let us check in again after the next 2 rehearsals. This conversation is not weak. It is specific, compassionate, and clear. The goal is not to win a confrontation. The goal is to help the person succeed, protect trust, and strengthen the team. The standard matters because people matter. Healthy accountability protects both the people and the ministry. Curiosity before conclusion, clarity after understanding. So, how long do you keep having this conversation? I do not believe in a rigid framework where 3 strikes automatically means someone is out. People and circumstances are way more nuanced than that. But I have naturally used something like 3 stages. The first conversation is full of compassion and understanding. I want to know what is happening and how I can help. If nothing changes, the second conversation is firmer. We revisit what was discussed, name the continuing pattern, and clarify what support or adjustment is actually needed. If after that the pattern continues, the third conversation includes a boundary. I explain that the behavior is affecting the team. I still want to help, and I will do everything reasonably within my power to help, but I also have a responsibility to the rest of the team. A schedule, role, or a season of serving might need to change. This usually unfolds over meaningful time, not 3 angry conversations in 3 weeks, but if team morale is already suffering, you might have waited too long. The posture stays the same even if the outcome changes. Dignity, clarity, care, and responsibility. But what if the person really does not care? In a healthy structure, that usually becomes visible without the leader pretending to read their heart. As responsibility increases, someone who does not want the commitment will begin opting out. Our job is to make expectations and consequences clear, not to announce the verdict before the pattern has shown itself. And what about the leader who's doing the work? Arriving early, getting everything ready, and becoming resentful, while everyone else seems to be getting away with things. Learn to have difficult conversations. Resentment grows when we keep talking about someone in our head instead of talking with them in humility and truth. You do not have to choose between caring for the person who is struggling and caring for the people who are faithfully carrying the team. Healthy leadership does both. Before your next rehearsal, choose one unresolved pattern and write down 4 things. What actually happened, what you assumed it meant, what expectation needs to be clear, and one honest question that can begin the conversation. Which part of a healthy accountability conversation is hardest for you? Asking, listening, clarifying, or following through? And if you have not watched our first episode, watch that next. It explains why a great Sunday can still be hiding in an unhealthy ministry, and why moments like this reveal what our ministry is really producing. So next time someone disappoints you, resist the verdict. See the person, understand the situation, address the pattern. Because we don't just lead music, we lead people.